And we're back.
Hey, how you doing?
What up? What up?
What up? We back on the Daddy Issues podcast.
Back.
I am Ola, resident new father on the show. I'm more newer than my co-host.
I'm Lito, 8 years in the game.
He is a veteran. Hall of Fame status?
Not yet. We working there.
He's in the middle of the prime of his career right now. In the prime of his career. It could go either way. You got to finish the career. You know, you got to make sure you're good.
I'm on my second contract.
Yeah, your second contract. You know, I'm on the rookie contract. So we get right into it. Daddy Issues this week. But first, I'm going to give you a corny dad joke of the episode.
All right, go ahead.
Why do pigs like karate?
Why do pigs like karate? I don't know why.
So they can practice a pork chop.
Oh my god. Well, I got one for you.
You got
too.
one? Oh man, did you chat GPT this?
I did.
Okay, it's all good. You know, it's just AI is, just us in computer form. So
It's not like a riddle like yours, but when two vegans get into an argument, is it still called beef? That's funny. I don't care what you say.
is it still called beef, or is it more like genetically modified?
Seasoned tofu.
Seasoned tofu. So that's how dad joke of the corny jokes. Dads do be having some corny jokes.
Keith Henning told me that joke.
On this episode today, we want to talk about father figures, right? More of how did we become who we are through the eyes of father figures, people we saw becoming dads, and how did that translate into who we are today?
Okay, let's get into it.
So I'm gonna know my story's a little different from yours, knowing what I know about you, right? My father was married to my mom, immigrants from Nigeria, and I was the fourth child, last child of my parents. I saw my father every day go to work, come home, go to work, come home, do some stuff, with us being a third boy. Grew up, then he started going back and forth to Africa, Nigeria. And, it seemed like what I knew as being a regular dad. I met you in high school, and I remember you were like, I live with my grandmother. Yeah. And I was like...
You didn't understand that?
I didn't understand. I understood it because I met you in high school. If I met you like in middle school or elementary school, I'd have been like, well, doesn't everybody have a mom, live with their mom and dad? That's what I thought, especially being growing up with cousins and stuff. But when I went to school, I started hearing people say, I'm going to my dad's house. Well, don't mom and dad live together? So being a teenager and meeting you, and you said, I go to my grandmother's house, it took me I didn't even have the courage to ask you, where's your father? Where's your mother? I didn't until our other friend one day goes, yo, what happened, Lito? What happened to your mother? What happened to your mother and father? And my ears was like, yo,
for that answer?
Yeah, it was. I remember. It was 1999.
Oh man, this guy. I be making fun of Ola all the time for his reminiscing, and he remember every date, man.
I remember because
I do not remember this at all. But go ahead.
I remember I met Lito in 1997 JV basketball tryouts in Midwood High School in Brooklyn, and
I remember that.
So I knew Lito for 2 years. We were on the same team. First year, then I went to varsity. I'm a year ahead. Then 99, we was playing the summer 99. Our other friend asked, we were playing those tournaments. We was crossing Brooklyn.
We was all over the place.
All over the city, crossing Brooklyn. And my other friend who's LeVar's our good friend. He asked you, he probably don't remember this either. And I didn't know because I would go to your house, you see your grandmother, but I didn't have the balls to ask because I knew something had to be up. So I said, LeVar just don't care. Not that he don't care, but he shoot off. You know what I'm saying? I was, if you know Lito, you just, he'll give you a blunt answer. You feel so small when his answers come out sometimes.
Oh, man.
You be like, yo, why'd I ask that at the time? So LaVar was like, yo, what happened to your mother? And you answered, I'll let you answer if you do. What happened to your father? I'll let you answer, but you didn't live with your father. So in my mind, since then, we were teenagers and you became a father now. What were the influences of, where did you learn how to be a father, things of that nature? But I'll let you speak because I've been talking a lot.
No, so yeah, I do not remember LeVar asking me that question, but to answer it, I probably answered it the same way back then. Both my parents died when I was young. So my dad when I was 5, my mom when I was 11. So my dad, I mean, it was a violent death that he had. But to answer your second question, I took like things from what I saw. Obviously, I didn't have a dad in the house, but uncles, cousins, friends' parents, like your brother, you have 2 older brothers, I would look at them as figures as well. But I just took pieces from everywhere. And I remember, there's one quick story. I remember one time I was maybe in like 3rd grade and I was walking to school. I was walking to school by myself. Imagine 8 years old.
Yeah.
Right? You can't think of that today, right?
He was like the latchkey super kid.
Yeah. So I was walking to school and a friend that was in my class was walking to school with his dad. And like, I was thinking like you, like, doesn't everybody walk to school by themselves? So I see this kid like, why is he walking with his dad to school? But like, that stuck with me, like, even, all these years later, that like, dads will walk or take their kids to school in the morning. And that's something I do every day. I'll take my daughter to school, make sure, tell her I have a good day. And, pick her up most of the time as well. Try to talk to her about what she did. You ask a kid, how was your day? Is good? And that's all you get. So you got to ask more like different questions like, whoa, tell me something funny that happened today. You just got to give them like something that they could talk about. Because if you just ask, how was your day? They're just going to say good.
You go and I was intrigued because you told me about, first you hear about your mom and your dad and the way he passed or whatever, and I was just, first I want to know, hey, what happened? You eventually told me this, that, and the third. I'm not gonna get into none of that, but it was like, all right, but how does he learn how to be a boy? Because you was growing up with your grandmother.
Yeah, it's like all women in my house.
Yeah,
like,
your aunt and your sister, 2 sisters, younger sisters, and Lito's very poised. He's a poised young man. So I'm like, he passing his classes. You hear all these stereotypes like, oh, he have a dad in his home, all that stuff. So how the heck is he doing? He getting better grades than me. And I'm staying out, I'm just like all these things in my head, because you thinking, you watch TV, you're like, oh, this kid he had a rough childhood and he had to be saved by this white couple. And
the blind side.
So he had to be saved. No, Lito was very straightforward. He didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, he jumped a turnstile like once.
One time and I broke my trophy. I didn't do my homework in school. That's all. That's about all I did.
He never cut class. So you like, how the hell, like, where'd you learn? Because you had to, learn behavior. You had good friends, so you didn't do anything crazy. But like, okay, you learned from your grandmother, in this. But what motivated you to always do right and not have a father figure in your house like that?
That's a good question. I think. So I remember when I was going to middle school, my mom was like, she was always big on education. So she wanted me to go to this school, Philippa Schuyler. She's like, I want you to take the test and go there. I'm like, I don't want to go there. My friends is going like wherever school is in the neighborhood. So she's like, no, you need to take this test and go to this school. So I took the test, got into Philippa Schuyler. Shout out to all the Schuyerites. But yeah, I got in there and she was, so proud of me. She passed while I was there. I struggled a little bit, through that. But when I got to high school, like I felt like I was doing all the stuff I already did. So it was easy already. So I didn't really have to try that hard. So like, school was always kind of easy to me. I'm lucky to have that. But yeah, my mom was big on education. So that's probably why, I was always like, I remember I was like 4 years old learning the ABCs, and you the part LMNOP.
Yeah.
I kept saying NMNP. She had the brush. It's like, yo, I was like, it's so funny because I didn't know what it was supposed to be. So she's like, well, say that part again. I'm like, NMNP. and a minute P. And she's like, no, that's not it. But she wouldn't tell me the answer. But she was, always big on that. So
So losing your mom. Not well. She started till you said 11, and then it was like you took it from there and ran. And you always been big on education. So it was like, where did you learn? And this is not turning into the Lito interview because I'm gonna talk about mine. But where did you learn how to like be a man, like learn how to shave and date women, and because I got my own answers, but like treat women and do things men are supposed to know or do. Like, what did you? I mean, looking at it now, where did you?
Uncle Phil.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
For real. No, but yeah, I mean, it's just like that. Like, I remember my uncle coming into my life, and teaching me some things. But a lot of it, I mean, honestly, was trial and error. It's just you do something, you might mess up the first couple times, but then you just learn from the feedback you get or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to take it all on me, but because I know you, like your dad was like traveling back and forth from America to Nigeria and back. So I don't know, like how long did he like stay and go when he?
So my father started his own business in Nigeria. When I was 12, and he was going back and forth. He was never really the throw the ball around kind of dad. He wasn't the give fatherly advice. You know that part in the sitcoms where Uncle Phil or Carl Winslow sits down and Eddie, you just can't do that. He can't do that anymore. Dad, okay, I love you. That powerful part. So. He was never like that.
He's an African dad. I don't know if any African dad is like that.
I still have never heard your father-in-law talk, by the way. So, I know what you mean. Like African dads, they just not like that. They're not emotional, anything like that. So, he wasn't really that play basketball. He came to my game once. I think he fell asleep. It was funny. Yeah, it's because he wasn't that. My mother was more into sports. She still is. She knows Shaquille O'Neal and Derek Jeter, all the guys, growing up. So he would go back and forth. I always wanted to have that dad as you watch TV, but I had two brothers. I don't have both brothers now. I only have one. I had two brothers. One of them taught me sports, a lot about sports. He's that guy to always push you. And then my other brother who passed, he was the one that taught me. He was 2 years older than me about girls and carrying yourself and money and changing tires and all that stuff. Yeah,
I remember he changed my tire. I did not know. I still don't know how to change a tire. I remember on Thanksgiving, man, I came to your house.
Yeah. So
for dinner, he changed. I came back to the car. I got a flat.
Yeah,
came and changed my tire.
And we came downstairs. Yup, man. So he was that guy to teach me. So I had like two fathers. My mother would always say to you, especially like Nigerian culture, you're older, you're eldest, you have to respect your eldest. So you she would always say, your brothers are your fathers, and they would treat me very like a little brother, but also like I was there. And they saw a lot in me to put everything in me. Like my brother wasn't the tallest like me. My oldest brother, he's not as tall, and my other brother wasn't as athletic as me. So it was like
you got all the gifts.
So it was the combination of, and you have hindsight, what they did and what they did wrong or right. They put it into their little brother. Plus my sister was like a father. She didn't play when it came to respecting women. She still doesn't. Like, there was none of that B word, none of the rap music, none of that stuff. She was very Afrocentric. So it was a combination of, and then my mom. So when my father would go back and forth, it was like, you on it. Like, even when they went away to school, they were on it. My brother showed the path of how to become an educator. I did that. So those are my father figures, plus TV and stuff like that. I can't front. Watching these shows, you rest in peace, Uncle Phil. Like, you start to see, how to become a man, and you get those questions. I never had the birds and the bees talk with my mom because she was around more than my father because he was traveling. But it was like, don't put my name in the police station and do not bring home any babies. So that was her talk. My brothers filled in the blanks with this is how you carry yourself around women. This is how, and they never steered me in the wrong direction. All this advice these rappers give and stuff like that. Now, how to carry my money. things like that. So those are my father figures, and I was learning from you guys. I can't front. We were the blind leading the blind.
That's true.
We were the blind leading the blind. So, Lito get a girlfriend in high school, you watching like, yo, this and that. And Ola get a girl, you watching like how they carry. That's how it was. Lito gets married first, you watching. Lito becomes a father, you watching, and all our other friends. I just happen to be very close to you, so I'm like, all right, we really are learning on the fly.
Yeah, I would say like a lot of things. I'm gonna come back to you in a minute, but a lot of things like I learned about like discipline, like perseverance. Those came from playing sports. I played for two really good coaches when I was young. Our high school coach, Mr. Jecka, and before him, I was playing for Screen, FYA.
FYA, shout out to
Yeah,
FYA.
Screen. So Screen was like a father figure to like. I'm sure that the number is like I can't even imagine how many kids he's still coaching now. It's been like probably like 40 years of his coaching career, but he he pushed us really hard, man. Like you had to like go hard. There was no being tired. There was no excuses. You was doing, when you 10 years old, you can't barely do a push up. He didn't care. Go over there and do push ups, but he didn't like let you slack off. And to go back to high school, Mr. Jecka was like more cerebral. Like he taught you to think before you act and how to do this and that. Like it was very, those two men, man, I give them a lot of respect for all the work they did, because Jack is still coaching as well. So
yeah, and yeah, we just saw him a few months ago. And he was young when we were coaching. He was young, like how when I started teaching, I was very young to the kids. I was less than 10 years, difference. So learning him on the fly. He was not even a father at the time, but I guess we were like his sons. He's Albanian, so his little black sons. So shout out to him, because I did learn what it was to be a complete student athlete, even though there's myths about Jacka was not letting you play if you didn't get it done in class. Midwood was not letting you play if you didn't get it done in class. And I learned that, and I learned how teamwork and letting your teammates down and stuff like that. But it was father figures. Today, we see a lot of things online, and I wrote an article, I remember, about just rappers and hip hop and the collateral damage of hip hop, and those guys who grew up listening to the hardest lyrics, hip hop, and now are fathers and even grandfathers. How did pop culture come into that? Because we listen to the most,
I listen to some stuff now. I'm like, I can't believe I was 12 years old listening to this. What was I thinking? But it was like, it's the songs, the beat, whatever. And you don't really think about what they're saying. But now, listen, I'm like, when I started listening to the lyrics is when my daughter was in the car with me, and I'm playing something like, oh, I can't play this. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so a lot of stuff we listen to Taylor Swift in the car now.
Oh,
whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
Yeah. She got some bops, but that stuff was, if you took it literal and did the things that these guys said, then it wasn't the greatest thing.
Yeah, you listening now, and as I'm thinking about even our favorite rappers now that are aged older, Jay-Z, right? He's not looked at as more of a rapper from kids now. He's like an entrepreneur. But there was some pretty harsh stuff in there. It was, like you said, if you took it literal, it was like, man, that's a tough one. The things they said, the trouble you can get into financially, sexually, all that was pretty tough. But we listened, and I guess, despite all that, we still went on the path we did. So I guess it was more about discipline. It was more about, doing what you're supposed to do in that nature. But it's like that was a part of, when you say father figures, just influence on our lives, things like that. So watching sports, we watched, then you hear about your sports stars, and then you hear about what they do in real life. It's funny, we watch Winning Time now with Magic, and we know the story and how these guys carried themselves, but we ended up being fathers for the first time, and one child each, and getting married. And I can't say that was I can say that was because one of the reasons was because I think for me, watching my parents 50 something years married, right?
50 cents. That's crazy. That's a long time.
Yeah, and ups and downs. You watch them struggle because they're immigrants here and things of that nature. But I think that was an influence. So what the thing I always wanted to ask. Well, I think I've asked you just before. You got married much younger than me, not much, but younger than me, and became a father. Much was much. You didn't grow up in a household that was married, mother, father, this and that. What kind of made you do that? Because you didn't grow up like that. So what was that influence like?
I think it was the lack of having that made me want that.
Yeah.
So uh like obviously, you said earlier, I grew up like living with my grandmother, with my sisters, and eventually both of my sisters went to live somewhere else. So it was like, it's funny. I had the experience of like older brother, but also the experience of like only child after they
Yeah.
after they moved out. But it was like I always wanted to have like my own family, and that's what like made me decide to do that, especially do it young. Me and my wife were able to like enjoy each other for 5 years before having a kid. So we traveled, did, have fun together. And I didn't want to do it late and be an old dad and be chasing a two-year-old around
Thanks.
at 40 something years old. It's tough, man. Like we was playing with your daughter earlier, man. She's all over the place. I could do it now because I get to give her back, but every day is a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like your pops, man. He was so funny. I remember, what was the year of the blackout?
2003.
2003. I remember the blackout. He was like, "Why is everybody panicking? This happens all the time in Nigeria." He was like, "What's everybody's problem?" I was like, "Yo, that was so funny." I still remember that, man. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah, my pops, like I said, he showed me a good example of being a father. He never raised his voice to my mom. Never. They had their things, but I think because my mom is so, he's just like, ooh. But not only that, he never raised his voice. I never seen him disrespect her outside the home. Never seen that. So I'm glad he was able to come to my wedding, meet my wife. He didn't get to meet my child. He did see her through FaceTime about a month or 2 months before he passed. But it would have been fun, and I wish my brother also could have met because he was a father figure. But I tend to believe they live through me, so they see her through me. But I learned a lot about being a father from them, and handling your business outside the home and coming home and being. I actually probably think I'm a better father sometimes than husband, but that's a whole nother conversation because I got to see what being a father was to me rather than see a relationship all the time. You saw a good
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Like I wasn't in the middle of their relationship, but I got direct, from father. And like I said, I see what you do as a father. So, father figures are a thing, right? So, what's the last movie you saw with your daughter?
The last movie. It's funny. We watched 2 movies last night. We watched Barbie and we watched Elemental. We watched Elemental first. I fell asleep because it was the first day of school or second day of school. We woke up mad early to get ready. I was dead tired. So I sat down with her, watched about 30 minutes. I was out. I woke up, Barbie was on. I was like, all right, I guess we're watching Barbie now. And we watched that, and I fell asleep again. So I guess you could say half of Elemental and half of Barbie.
I look forward to watching movies. She does. All we watch is, like I said, Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel.
Dogs were little zero, but I look forward to that because we went to some Encanto thing that Disney got us, man.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm thinking we grew up on Aladdin, Lion King, this, that, and they just keep going with this stuff, right?
They're getting better too. They getting better now.
We probably gonna go to Disney World, but Encanto, we went to this exhibit with her cousins, and I just look forward to those things because you watch it as a kid and you remember just being a kid, and then being a father and being able to have your daughter fall asleep on you, or you explain later. Like I was explaining your daughter, I had this great conversation with her about the states, the 49th state, the 50th state. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's my thing. I like history and geography and all that.
Now you gave her homework and everything.
I gave her,
She
yeah.
did it too.
That's what we do, and just being able to. I was telling wife yesterday when we were talking about you coming and doing that. She was coming. That I just love the conversation. I wasn't with you guys, but just talking to her, and it's more question after question. Like, how do you do that? Like the question after question after question.
I love that she asks a lot of questions. It just, I think it shows like a level of intellect. Like she's curious about stuff, right? So I feel like if you're not curious, if you're not smart, you're probably not curious either, right? I don't know how that works, but that's just how I look at it. But I feel like if you're asking questions and you thinking about it, right? So she asked me all kind of stuff, man. She asked me about religion. She asked me about history. Why? She asked me about slavery, everything. Like, why was there slavery? I'm like, well, this is what happened. And she, the next question is why? She just wants to know. And like, sometimes I don't have the answer. I'm like, well, I don't know that. Maybe you could look it up and tell me. But, she's resourceful. So, we good conversations because she's always asking questions.
Yeah. And just to go and wrap this up about father figures, is there one thing that you, I don't know, maybe I answer myself, you want to get better at being a father, you think, now 8 years in?
One thing, it's probably 100 things. I just let me see.
I can answer first.
Go ahead. Let me think about it.
It's being, I don't say patient, but being more patient, because I'm sorry, not being too patient. Like I'm saying to myself, don't have that. Like my father had a short fuse. Not that he would abuse us or anything, but it was like cut and dry. Like, and I said, I'm not gonna be like that, right? You're gonna get it. Like, I remember, I'll never forget this. Writing the lowercase f in kindergarten. You don't remember a lot of things from kindergarten, right? 'Cause we older now.
Yeah.
Lowercase f that day, the green penmanship book, remember that? And they looked like a composition book, but it was colored green in the front, but I remember a lot of stuff. But writing my F, and I could not get it yet, like kindergarten, and he was so mad at me. He didn't beat me or nothing, nothing crazy. I want to be clear about that, but he just was so upset that I couldn't get it. It was either you got it or you didn't, and there's no in between. And maybe it's a Nigerian thing, I don't know.
No, it's not. I can tell you a story too. Go ahead.
But I just like, I want to be, but not too patient. Like, you know how we talk about being trophy parents, like participation trophy parents. I don't want to be that. I really don't want to be that guy, but I want to find a sweet spot in between. Like, like I want to not have a short. I'm not gonna have a short fuse, especially with a girl, But I don't want to be. Oh, it's okay. It is what it is. Utopian world we live in. You can do whatever, because we see what that gets our kids these days. So that's the one thing I want to find, that sweet spot of patience.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to strive for. So my daughter wrote your daughter a letter, and in that letter, I was very proud of her, because there's a lot of lectures I've given her over the last few months about not being like, not what's the word I'm looking for? About being like just doing stuff, like don't quit. Don't say it's too hard. Keep trying, persevere, right? So she put that stuff in the letter that she wrote to your daughter. I hope y'all keep it and like show her.
Oh, I told you I'm gonna frame that.
And show her when she's older. But I feel like she's like understanding some of those conversations. I'm doing most of the talking, but most of the conversations that we having about stuff. So I think you're gonna find that it won't be that difficult, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, it was great. We always got great back and forth, but this was a great discussion with father figures. As always, like, subscribe to the Nasarima. We have a ton of stuff on there, a ton of episodes with our channel. Thank you guys. We're on Instagram, YouTube, all kind of other places, just everywhere. Just like, subscribe, follow, tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about Daddy Issues Podcast.
I'm a pariah. I'm a piranha. I am a king coming out of Wakanda. There's a song called Father Figure. It's like that's Black Thought's part. It's dope. Go listen. Go listen to that.
All right, we go listen to that. Thank you guys. We'll see you later.
Peace.